Hello, YouTubers. Reloading Bench back with you once again with non-reloading related saw material. And I'm going to tell you that I think I'm a bit confused because when I found the saw, and I've done some research on it, the gold color, the bronze finish, the powder bronze finish, the gold look, was for Craftsman's 50th anniversary. Well, Craftsman was started in 1927. So 50, 27 plus 50, 37, 47, 57, 67, 77. 77, as I said before, would be the 50th anniversary. But if you look at the saw that I reconditioned last year, that was also an older 113 that I thought was around the mid-70s. And if you look on that particular saw, like the height and angle adjustment wheels, they're very plasticky, very lower quality material than some of the stuff I've highlighted on this saw, which plus when you look at the shape of the cabinet, the gold one, the one I'm currently working on, much more ornate, whereas the 1970, mid-70s version from last year was more basic. And usually when a manufacturer starts cutting corners for costs and trimming things down and making things less ornate, it's usually the newer models that do that. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say, again, based on additional research I've done and some of the stuff that's led me to believe this, I believe this model, this 113.29991, was made, I think I said previously 62 or 64. The gold color, the bronze, powder bronze, based on some research, was introduced in 1956 for the 57 model year, which would then make more sense because of how ornate the cabinet is versus the 77. So to say it was the 50th anniversary for Craftsman doesn't really make sense. So there's the conflict. And if anybody knows what that might actually be, please fill me in. But this video, this shorty, is about this stuff that came in the wooden cabinet. So as I was taking the saw apart and I found this, I'm like, wow, this is some heavy duty. And my first thought was junk, I'll throw it away. My second thought was, hey, this is pretty solid steel rod. This probably weighs a good 2 pounds. And I could use that for some welding stuff. And same thing for this. Again, not knowing what the heck this was. And when I showed you, or what you'll see in my miter gauge, I found these two of these on the underside of this 5-pound, this is heavy duty. So I thought this was some homemade, and there was one on each end. So I took these off and repurposed them to put on the miter, top of the miter. And again, I thought this was some homemade janky shit for running cable. And then I came across, again, more research, these. And what these bars are these extension bars that fit in these holes. So it's not the equivalent of another wing, but it does extend this, which is not, completely flat, because you've got two seams, or you've got a seam here for two pieces. This would be lower than this. So, putting a flat piece of it's not flat. So I don't know what Craftsman's line of thinking was, but it's still pretty cool. So these will go back here to be able to lock these. I mean, this could be a weapon. That's some serious steel. And again, this is no slouchy thing either. I mean, this is looks like 3/16 maybe even thicker. This will get de-rustified, and I'll probably blue this because trying to paint something like this, this type of utility device, probably not going to work out so well. But I thought this was interesting that because I'm looking right now for a second webbed wing that matches the pattern of the one webbed wing that came, the extension, shelf extension that came with the saw. And now that I've seen this, I think what I'm going to do is put this back on the saw so that it pays homage to the originality. And it looks like, hard to tell, looks like they put some little extra thingy on this one. And I'm guessing that's for maybe the fence to clamp on. So if anything, I would use it more as a, you know, just as a sheet of something to set on. But what bothers me is the height difference. I wonder if it's worth putting, I don't know, without having it on next to the table. It's hard to tell what it looks like. And by the way, the table came out extremely well. All right, that's it for this. The next time you see this, it'll look a lot better than it currently does. I can promise you that. Very interesting piece of hardware. But I think I like the webbed extension or wing better. All right, that's it for now. Hello, YouTubers. Reloading Bench back with you once again. And as you can see, this is from the Craftsman 100, the miter gauge, which is very different than my previous, similar but different in terms of how it stops. It looks like it uses these particular stops for 45, 45, and 90, which looks like it is completely adjustable, and it looks like it might be slightly off there, but that's of no concern. So went to the local big box shop, picked up some primer filler, and I want to say I thought I got etcher as well. So this one more for the cabinet. Something like this, I don't think I'll need, you know, I'll still use it. Maybe I'll pick up the etcher version and bead blast this. And there were a couple different colors. I went to both the blue box and the orange box. And the orange box had the Rust-Oleum gold, which I think might look cool. And the blue box had two, one called vintage gold and the other called pure gold. And they're not this, they're a deeper, richer gold, and this is more like a bronzy gold. So yeah, methinks we'll try it on a small piece like this, see how it turns out. Obviously this is going to need some loving care. So I think the approach I'm going to take with the Craftsman 100 is bits and pieces, as opposed to trying to do a big giant, you know, all at once. I think it'll be a long project, piece by piece, and we'll see how that goes. But that's where we're headed. Definitely more to come. Good morning, YouTubers. Happy birthday, America. Beautiful, crisp 4th of July morning. And I thought I would do some, what I'm going to call smalls. Everything is basically done on the saw. And paint's curing. Got to figure out what I'm going to do for a mobile base. Probably do some wood stuff. So it's not done, but all the hardware for the most part is done. And this is the miter, which has interesting stops. 45, actually I have to adjust these screws for the 3 stops. So it looks like it can do a 45, or it's set for 45, set for 45, and then set for 90. And then that tightens it, and that came out really nice. Tried to revive the chrome. No heavy polish, just wired. Took off all the rust. Again, blued this, cleaned this up, blued it. Same thing with the, whatever this is called, the guide for the miter. Again, it's got character, but it looks, and I found these were actually part of another set of guide rods that go in here, but I found these on some homemade thing the guy's father or grandfather had. So that's that for right now. All right, that's the miter. And in continuing with little small thoughts and ideas, this took about 20 minutes to take off. In theory, you undo that hex and you just pull this off. I had to hammer this through the backside in order to get it off. And the other one, I can't even budge. So, and that's with penetrating oil and all kinds of shit. So who knows where that's going to go. And I thought what I'd try and do is hit this with the wire wheel a little bit, just to see how bad, you know, the chrome actually is. So I'll probably clean it with simple green first, and then see what I'm looking at with the pits. Not a whole lot of change. So we'll hit it with the wire wheel on the drill first, the drill press, before moving on to the brass wire wheel on the buffer. See what happens. More to come. So I gotta say, I'm more than impressed. That's about 15 seconds worth of work. Looking good. Back in a bit. We're gonna call that quite the success for, again, a couple minutes worth of work. Not perfect, not new, but clean and nice. This is nasty. That's nasty. That's nasty. Much better. Looking almost new. And we are back with more saw content. Again, as I said, I'll be doing little pieces by little pieces. And this is one, I remember doing this on my other saw. I will take the motor out of here, clean it up, repaint, dust, clean, wire wheel, polish, make things look a heck of a lot better than they currently do. But if you notice, things are not the healthiest. Right there, that's hanging on by a thread, literally. We have some repair work, and we have some uber jankiness, literally. Which is why when I trash something, I try and salvage parts that I know I can reuse or will come in handy for another project. And this is a great example. So I don't remember what I salvaged this from, but it's going to go on this motor. And I will plug this in and hopefully not get shocked to death. Let me make sure my hand's not on the, when we power this up, because this is the on button. And it should sound, try not to put too much pressure on that, it should sound reasonably well. It's a 1 horsepower motor. Everything looks goodish. Sounds good to me, looks good. I don't know how much time this particular motor saw. It didn't sound so great in the saw, but I'm going to guess that's because of a whole lot of other reasons having to do with stuff. But yeah, this is that's hella danger factor right there, and that will get better in time. So this will be a soon project in terms of taking this apart and rewiring the motor, cleaning things, let me rephrase that. Take it apart, clean it, and you know, I don't know how bad things will look once it's taken apart and cleaned. I'm thinking, you know, there's a lot of work to be done on some of the metal stuff. You know, is it worth repainting? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how much is. Looks like this is a bronze, not quite black. Got some cracks. You can super glue those. See what that cover, that housing looks like underneath, and more to come. All right, I will open up the garage here in a few to give a better clean. There's the old wire, hot and neutral, no ground. And here's my temporary setup of neutral, hot, and ground. And I will plug things in. Naturally, the camera's in the way before I turn it on, because we're going to have some motion. That's got a little jerk to it. All right, so that's a temp fix because I'm going to disconnect this and start on the cleaning. So I just wanted to make sure it would work, which in theory there's no reason why it shouldn't have. I may try and find a different version of these connectors, because this is all I had laying around the garage. And when you install these, they're a little higher because that little bit of difference in putting the cover on may crimp the wire. So I will look around the next time I'm at the hardware store for additional solution, but this is proof of concept done. So now that I have this cover off, I will open the garage and blow this out some more, because this was quite caked. Quite caked. All right, that's it for. And the motor. Motor's been rewired, painted. That was painted. Everything was taken out, cleaned where I could clean it. This was originally brown, so I used brown hammer tone. Same thing on the sides to kind of keep it matching-ish. And clean this up, but it's weathered. Nothing I can do about that. But we'll plug it in. It's been oiled. Again, rewired, cleaned galore. Probably helps if I had that turned off. Sounds good. Looks good. I'll turn it around. All right, that is the motor. And here we have the, I don't know where that came from. That looks like one of the motor. Here we have the motor mount. And this was the powder bronze, which is now gold. This is original. All the metal pieces were removed, those that could be removed, polished, cleaned, somewhat de-rusted to one degree or another. There's never any shortage of aging. So, good stuff. Next. And we have the fence greased up, turning better than it's turned in many years. Again, polished, wired, polished. I left this brushed, and I will probably install a piece of oak on both sides because it's just extremely plain. But it works. And I think that came out nice. Trunnions. I stayed original. This one is the one that sits towards the front of the machine and is completely covered by the trim. So all I did was polish the insides. And this one was gold, and it was repainted gold. And it looks like it's got some dings. From what, I don't know. But same thing. So I'll touch that up. And that'll be looking great. This is the one that's visible. In the back of the machine by the motor. Here we have the fence guide, or guides. No idea what happened here before my watch, unfortunately. These are aluminum, and these are not as nice as the heavy steel one that came with my other 113. And cleaning this was just a bear. As you can see, a little bit of dirt is still in there. I don't know that I'll worry about that because that's the underside. Here's the top, the back, bolts. I love how the bolts clean up. And then this is the extension to either the right or the left, depending on where I put the wing. No washer or whatever that particular thing is that we'll have to replace. But again, bead blasted and then polished with steel wool just to give it a finish as opposed to just raw. And here's the cradle. Taken apart as far as I wanted to go. I'm not going to pop the bearings like I've seen others do because I don't have those tools. But this was in really nice condition. Obviously cleaned up the screws and the gears. Polished for the trunnions. At least on the feet. Again, the gears I think look great. Tested the gears, and the tilt and height work like they haven't worked in years. And getting, as I said, getting these two handles off was, I've seen others where they just undid the hex and then slid the wheel off. Yeah, that wasn't the case with me. So a lot of work, but this is in great shape. Really nice shape. I've seen others where they have to take it down and paint it, and I'm leaving it as is. A little bit of rust, a little bit of character. And again, really liking how that came out. And just as an example, I have gone through a lot of paint. This is part of the stand, and there are 4 legs and 8 side supports for a top and a bottom. And then there's 8 corner pieces. And to do, all of the areas, it's a lot of paint. So these were all wire wheeled. rust taken off. Again, a lot of work, and this is just an example of what the paint looks like for the stand.